Welcome back, guys. Today we're just gonna be vibing out and exploring. Sorry for the code, and let's go ahead and go into our first story. First story: cheating with AI. I'm assuming it's going to be like the movie Her, but we'll see. So, as the title says, which has never thought I'll be typing in a million years. What a freaking time to be alive. Last night I went to go wake my husband up on the couch and saw that he had left his phone open on his chest. It was large paragraphs from a woman and shorter responses from him. I immediately feel my stomach drop to my freaking balls. She does not have balls. My hand is up taking a picture before I even know what I'm doing. Upon further analysis, it seems to be a sex bot app. Okay. And enough of itself, that's not really an issue for me. Porn doesn't really bother me at all, but her caught her babe, which is what he calls me, so now I'm suspicious ASF. So of course I go back in there and record his screen as I scroll through not one, but 8 AI girlfriends, each chatted with a few days apart, sometimes less. Guys, if this was just a sex thing, I would be concerned, but not scared for my marriage. But he's talking to them on little virtual takes, saying I love you and calling them pet names, having graphic roleplay sex with them, the whole freaking nine. He has been distant for months. Every time I bring it up, he says his libido is down. I've expressed my concern for him and our intimate relationship several times and always been brushed off. Guess I know why. He hasn't taken me on a date in 8 months. He's gotten me flowers once on Valentine's Day, which is all he got me despite promising more. We barely have sex despite my attempts. I ended up sneaking out and going to my best friend's house. I came back and we talked. He was very apologetic, but also tried to lie and say I don't really do it. Great. I wasn't thinking about that, but now I am. And my favorite told me he deleted everything even though he wasn't sure if that's why I left. So he knew it was wrong from the start, or he wouldn't have done that. I gave him a chance to come clean about everything else. He said he hasn't done anything. We will see, I guess. Told him we are doing marriage counseling, which he has always been against, and that I'm going to need time to think about this. He agreed and promised to be a better husband, but he made promises he won't keep before. Alright, guys, sorry a little bit. Story seems to be a little out of place, some parts. Uh, I guess I'm just at a loss. We are so young and have only been married for a little over a year. We have had a very stable, trusting relationship up until this point, but I don't know if I can get over this. That sucks. Um, I know porn addiction is a pretty big thing nowadays, especially for younger people, but I think this has to be something to do with that whole people going to AI instead of a actual human being. But yeah, I think the way we're heading into society, this is gonna become a lot more popular. Uh, all right, let's see if there's an update. There is same day, but a little later. I don't even know what to say. Told his robot girlfriends that he loves them and calls them babe, but she calls me his real wife. Takes them on virtual dates and has virtual sex with them. Those are things he doesn't even do for me. His sexless wife. What a time to be alive. Don't even have regular cheating anymore. Okay. Okay. 2 weeks later, I am the 8th AI girlfriend girl. Yes, that's how I introduce myself now. I saw this piece of pizza from soon to be ex husband's dinner in the fridge. Nice. So, looks like they're getting a divorce. Started boxing again to hit something. Don't want a domestic abuse case. On my post, I talked a lot about wanting to work things out, and at the time, it was true. But I had a week alone, and it really made me realize that I don't actually want to stay with him at all. The thought of leaving made me feel so free and hopeful for the first time in over a year. I ended up writing a huge list of all the reasons I wanted a divorce, and I got so pissed off that I submitted the petition without letting myself stop and question it. I feel like I dropped a huge weight off my shoulders as soon as I paid the $386. Jesus Christ. There's been some discourse on this sub recently regarding women in shitty situations and how they seem to allow themselves to stay in really shitty situations. I think I'm pretty qualified to share my perspective on that. I grew up as a Southern Baptist pastor's daughter in an environment where marriage was something sacred, and when men messed it up, women were tasked with undergoing the pain of fixing things for God, their family, and their communities. Divorce happened, but was pretty rare, so I took all of that mindset into my marriage. I called my mom about this a few nights ago, and you know what she said? He has broken the marriage covenant, so you are justified in the eyes of God to seek a divorce. I'm not even a Christian anymore, and I haven't been for years, but hearing that from my mom made something click in my head. Acceptance, maybe, or just knowing that I'm supported by the most important woman in my life. So a few days later, I filed. Women come into relationships with men from all sorts of backgrounds, cultures, and all sorts of baggage. There's no one size fits all approach to relationships, and there's no size fits all approach to living them. And because we all have such differing perspectives, it's also okay for people to be angry with how we would deal with them. Some people will be angry with you for leaving, or not leaving in the right way, or taking too long to leave in the first place. That's their right. It's not your job to make everyone happy, and it's not your job to fix something that a man has broken. Protect your heart, protect your kids, protect your future. Take your time, but don't convince yourself to ignore your gut. Write down your reasons for wanting to leave and revisit them often. If you're like me, you just need someone to talk to, please PM me and whatever to divorce. Nice. Alright. Well, happy ending for the woman, not much for the guy. I wonder how many AI girlfriends he has now. I would say 2 months after, he's probably at 32. But let's move on to the next story though. My boyfriend keeps accidentally calling me his best friend's name during sex. Both these people are 23, man and female. Alright, this started on April 21st, 2018. My boyfriend, let's call him Will for short, has been best friends with Caleb for about 10, 11 years. Me and Will have been dating for about 6 months now, and things have been going really well. Nice. This has only just started to become a problem. I honestly know this sounds like a joke, and I've been scared to tell my friends because they'll either laugh at me or tell the story to other people, which would be really embarrassing. Yeah, it's one of those stories that you can't really tell no one because you know they will judge. So he always would accidentally call me Caleb, sometimes during conversation, which I didn't mind at all. I get names mixed up all the time. But around last month and early March, he called me Caleb as I was about to give him a head. I would have laughed it off, but he said it so loudly and passionately that honestly I was so shocked that I just ignored it. Obviously, I regret this now because eventually so much time passed that I couldn't bring it up and just kind of forgot about it. In my head, I thought it was some sort of funny because the way he said it was honestly funny as hell from an outside perspective. But as his girlfriend, it's kind of worrying. Him and Caleb are very close. They've lived together for about 2 years and they know everything about each other. But I really, really doubt that they have never ever been together or have had feelings for each other. Will has mentioned Caleb having an ex-girlfriend, so I'm pretty sure he's straight, and Will is definitely straight. It doesn't seem like it, but let's see. When I ran the situation through my head, I decided to give him the benefit of the doubt. It's normal to get names mixed up sometimes, and especially when you see that person every single day. I should also add that I really like Caleb and would consider him my friend. Then it happened again. This time it was. Then it happened again. This time it was actually during sex. My name sounds nothing like Caleb, and he straight up moaned Caleb this time. I stopped and started laughing awkwardly, thinking that Will would also be laughing and that he'll say Caleb by accident. He just looked blank, kind of confused for a second, and then saw that I was nervously laughing and did this awkward fake laugh for a few seconds before kissing me again. I said, "That's the second time you've done that." And he laughed and said, "I'm just a artard, sorry." Obviously, I was uncomfortable, but again, I thought it was just him being clumsy. Finally, it happened a last time last night. He moaned Caleb as we were having sex. I stopped him and sort of snapped and said, "Okay, WTF, dude." And he started crying and said that he gets names mixed up because he had a kidney stone last year. Huh. Okay. And it was really stressful for him, and Caleb was the kind of person who helped him through it. WTF. This is total BS, right? I mean, I don't know much about kidney stones, but I'm pretty sure that's not how it works. Now I'm worried more about this weird lie slash excuse for doing it rather than him actually doing it. Should I be worried? Do I need to talk to him about this, or should I just end things? Huh, that's weird. Like, the first time you see someone every day, it might happen. But a second time, especially during sex, and a third time as well, that's a pattern right there. But, I think she would have to just break things up. That would be the easiest, best thing for both parties. But let's see, there's an update. Yeah, there's 2 days later, so April 23rd, 2018. This got a lot of attention, and everyone's responses were very helpful. They made me realize how serious this whole thing is, and how I was fooling myself into thinking that Will didn't have some sort of feelings for Caleb. They live about a block away from me, so I really thought through everything I wanted to say and headed over there. Caleb answered the door and let me know that Will was picking up concert tickets and that he'll be back soon, and he let me in. I'll admit, I was acting strange around Caleb, because even though it wasn't his fault, I still felt a bit jealous and sad. He picked up on this and asked what was wrong, and I basically broke down and asked if he and Will had ever slept together. He looked really shocked and asked why, and I ended up telling him the whole thing. He looked incredibly confused the whole time, and then when I told him about the kidney stone thing, he burst into laughter. Inside joke, maybe? But like maniac laughter. He was shaking so much, it was like he was vibrating. Then he started crying, and I got really worried and asked what was going on. He wouldn't answer me at first, but after I insisted he tell me what's going on, he apologized to me and told me that he and Will had quote unquote drunkenly slept together a handful of times over the last 2 years. And Will had wanted something more, but he didn't want a relationship with him. Eventually, Will moved on, in quotations, with me, and Caleb had confessed to Will that he was jealous, but he swears nothing happened between them. He prefaced the confession with, "I'm not gay or anything, but like," given the amount of people telling me that they thought they liked each other, I was prepared for this. The whole situation is a mess, and I think both of them need to figure things out with themselves as well as each other. I decided to leave Will a letter explaining this and left. Good for her. I'm pretty upset, but luckily, Will and I had only been together for less than 6 months, so I'm glad it got out when it did. I hope I don't bump into them at Walmart. Okay, good ending again for both their sides. So he's gonna have some time to actually reflect, and then the woman set herself a lifetime of uh, how would you say it? Of a disaster waiting to happen. All right, let's go on to our last story. My husband of 6 years wants to be the father of another woman's child. She is 26 and the husband is 30. September 16th, 2015. So my husband unleashes this on me 3 days ago and I'm still reeling. We're talking over dinner and he mentions that a longtime friend of his wants to have a baby. I don't know this woman personally, but he's talked about her before. Apparently, she asked him to be the sperm donor, and he said he was very flattered and that he wanted to do it. At first, I was really surprised, but not necessarily upset. Even though I didn't find the idea palatable, I didn't want to jump to the wrong conclusion, so I told him to explain a little more about this about what this meant. He tells me she wanted a kid for a while and she's decided not to wait for a relationship anymore. I asked him if it would be difficult for him to know that somewhere out there he has a child that he couldn't see or whose life he couldn't be a part of, and if that would affect him emotionally. Then he whips out something really upsetting news. This woman actually wants him to actually be the father figure. She wants him to be a part of the kid's life like the actual dad. I did not like this for one major reason. He's been intimate with this woman before. They dated in their early 20s, but he refers to her as a friend, and before now, I never minded their friendship. I assumed they didn't think of each other that way anymore. They still might not, to be fair, but isn't it very intimate to share the active parenting of a child? I just don't know if they'll keep it platonic, considering their history and this very bond building event they want to plan. He said I'm overreacting and that I'm not showing trust in him. I'm being insecure and it's insulting because he's always been loyal to me and I have no reason not to trust him. Which is true, but it's just so uncomfortable for me to consider. There's another issue too. Another one. He and I have talked about children, and I let him know fairly even in our relationship, right when we were starting getting serious, that I have some fertility issues that may make it difficult to have kids in the future. I let him know that I've never gotten a specialist opinion and that nothing was certain, but I've been told it may be a concern in the future. It wasn't something in the forefront of my mind. We had both agreed, quotation, I thought, to put off planning a family for a few years. So to me, it was a distant issue, one that I thought I'll just deal with later, when we were trying. He goes on to tell me that he and this woman have been discussing this for a few days, and he's going to do it because I might not be able to have his kids anyway. And if it turns out I can't, he seems to seize the opportunity because he might not get another one like this later. That's crazy. Okay. I feel hurt. My emotional reaction is that I'm somehow inadequate. Even though we haven't even started trying for kids, and I don't even gotten a specialist opinion. I feel written off, I feel shocked, I'm very upset. But deep down, I wonder, what if I can't have kids? Is it fair to deny him parenthood? Am I looking at this the wrong way? Truthfully, he has always been faithful. Could this dynamic somehow function properly in a way I'm not seeing? I'm so weirded out right now, I couldn't even know how to picture this future. We have an argument. He tells me I'm being selfish because he has always wanted children and I cannot expect him to give up such a huge dream of his. He says he isn't cheating with this other woman. They aren't going to have sexy claims. It'll be like he said, has a kid he can father and the kid will just live with a friend. He says it really has nothing to do with our relationship. It's his own personal matter and I wouldn't have to do anything. I think that's really how he views it. Like when one person in a marriage has a time consuming, expensive hobby that the other doesn't enjoy, but still allows their partner to do, even though it means giving up time and resources. But this is a child, not a sailboat. This is a woman he stated slept with, even if it was years ago, and that's what's off putting to me. I honestly have never been in this position, so I don't know if I'm just freaking out. I don't know if people commonly do things like this, or how these things turn out, or how I'm supposed to approach this. A child will be a huge part of his life that I apparently will have no part in. Can someone really check this, please? How do I even proceed with this? Huh. That's a word I would not have thought of that scenario in my life. That's super weird. Um, if the thing is, if they did not date, I guess this would be fine in my opinion. But considering that they have dated in the past and for a couple of years, I think they said there might still be like feelings that might blossom, especially as she said during a bond creating moment. But let's see what happens. Let's look at the first update 11 days later. Well, everyone was right. He was cheating. Surprise. Oh, surprise. Why did I not think of that? I caught the girl behind his back and found out everything. She wasn't nice about it. It wasn't a funny conversation. Nothing else I can say except I'm out of there and divorce is happening. We dated 3 years, married 3 years, and I'm a stupid idiot and I can't believe I didn't see it before. Makes me cringe to look at my post. How naive could you be? Damn, that's crazy. I mean, that was so obvious. I don't know why that just got me from the back. I didn't expect that. That is crazy. But thanks guys. Thanks for watching the video. And make sure you give us a like and drop us up and I'll catch you guys next time. Ciao.